Right, so today's video has been inspired by somebody who has recently come to visit me for lessons. And we had a great time. We played a little bit of golf. We also had some time on the driving range as well, trying to really implement a couple of the things that I am looking for, that I talk about a lot on the channel, my sort of simple philosophy towards the golf swing. And the things that I'm always looking for is, well, first of all, controlling that club face, and therefore controlling how your hands are hitting the actual ball itself. I like to see the hands leading as much as a golfer can. I like to see that. I like to see golfers understanding they can control the low point of the golf swing with their hands, not necessarily trying to do it with their head and their body. I also like to see good rotation. And what happens is, from the bottom part of the swing, say parallel to parallel, you need good chest, pelvis and chest rotation. And if you can pivot nicely through the ball, you're able to stabilize the club face. So obviously there's a few other things, but fundamentally when it comes to hitting the ball, that's what I'm always generally looking for: a good pivoting action, a good understanding of what your hands are doing, and therefore you will have a better chance of being a better golfer. And with the golfer who came to visit, that was exactly the type of instruction that I was trying to get him to adopt to. And we got there. But what's always interesting is, you know, it's sometimes the simple things, you know, that make such a big difference. So the golfer in mind had a couple of problems. One, like I said, was controlling the sort of low point more with the head position, which we were trying to get out of, but it's more to do sometimes like the setup position and the grip. So what you're trying to do is get the hands ahead, and therefore I think if you're really flippy, it makes sense to just allow that club shaft to start ahead of the club head in the address position. So if you sort of rested the club down, it should fall on the instep of your lead thigh. And then obviously position the club face relatively square to the target, and then take hold of the club. So you end up in a position like so. That to me is, I think, exactly what we're trying to do in this sort of post-impact position. And if you can pivot well, and you can move your hands well, you can keep that club face actually pretty square at the bottom part of the golf swing, which again is the big thing. So the golfer, you know, and probably you guys, gets the club shaft maybe a little too vertical. This promotes a slightly weaker grip. There's nothing wrong with a weaker grip, but it basically means when you get your hands coming down ahead of the club head, you're gonna have to do a lot of forearm rotation. And what tends to happen is golfers just tend to flip at it instead of rotating the hands square. So the simple premise of today's video, in terms of creating context as to why I would suggest you change it, is it's not so much about just go, hey guys, don't do this, do this. It's a bit like, well, look, we're trying to really get you to hit the golf ball where the hands are ahead. So in that setup position, make sure that handle is sitting ahead of the club head. Take hold of the golf club. Even if that feels like your grip is slightly stronger than what it once was, that's absolutely fine. Okay, having a slightly stronger grip basically means that you're pre-pronating your lead arm. That means that you have to do less arm rotation to square the face. And that's exactly what we saw with the golfer who came to visit. Much better in terms of changing that sort of shaft position, much better in terms of that address position. And as we play golf on the second day, it kind of encourages you to kind of want to hit it more that way, to keep that club face obviously a lot squarer coming in towards that hitting zone, and it gets rid of that sort of temptation to flip. So I would really make sure that you check that setup position, introduce a little bit more of that forward press. It'll probably feel like it changes your setup in terms of your, you know, change your perspective of the golf ball a little bit as well. But, you know, you've got to really think about when you're making changes to your golf swing, you're trying to get into a solid impact position. So hopefully this change will make sense. See you guys soon.